Good morning and welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration. Glad you could join me here today. As always, my 1,401 subscribers. Thank you for the 2 new subscribers that helped me to make it to 1,400. And special thanks to all those who have been following along with me since the beginning. I appreciate you. And I continue to put out content. Can't speak this morning. I just finished running. I've been running for years and I quit for a couple years because I hurt my back. And I just started again. And I can't even run a mile. I used to run 30 miles. Actually, one time I ran 31 miles. But persistence, consistency, don't give up. It's really hard to start over again when you remember how good you used to be. But that's the way it is. All champions and people that have accomplished anything have had to start over again and again. But that's not the topic today. But it does tie into what I'm going to talk about, self-esteem. My camera looks a little crooked. What do you think? A little crooked? Maybe not. Perfectionism. Self-esteem and self-worth. Where does that come from? Well, if you're like most of us, you grew up in a household where you probably weren't encouraged or told that you could do anything, that you're the greatest and you're wonderful. And when you made a mistake, they told you to just keep trying. Mistakes and failures are just the paved way to success. They probably didn't tell you that. They may have told you things that indicated you weren't very bright, you were stupid. It's really difficult being parents because you get tired, you get worn out, you're working, you're trying to take care of your kids. And especially nowadays when both parents are working, and that's a pet peeve I have, the man should provide for the woman so she can raise her own kids instead of letting a daycare worker do it. Imprinting the values and the morals of this person that you don't even know on your children 6, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. Think about that. If moms want to feel guilty, they can feel guilty about something like that. I know some of them do feel guilty because I've talked to them. But now I'm not talking about the mothers who have to work because they don't have a man to help them out. And I know many people think my views are misogynistic, but doesn't it make common sense that if the mother was raising a child, that it might be a little better than someone who doesn't love the child, who just does it for $15, $16, maybe even $20 an hour, or $12 or $10. Think about that. You can't buy love. You can't pay for it. So there you go. I think you mothers can do the best job of raising your kids better than anybody. I mean, it just makes sense to me. I don't know, think about that. Back to self-esteem and self-worth. So if you've grown up in a home like I did, I mean, mom and dad, I loved them, did the best they could. They did better for me than their parents did for them. But they didn't know anything about positive reinforcement. My dad used to tell me things like, and some of you have heard it, you're never going to amount to anything. You don't have enough sense to pound sand in a rat hole. Act like you got some sense. You don't have the sense you were born with. Ad infinitum. And I'm sure there were many others that I've probably stuffed away and I don't remember. So when you get a constant input of this from people that supposedly love you, and they did love me the best they know how, okay? And people that are taking care of you, and when you're a kid, your mom and dad are like gods to you because without them, you would not survive. I mean, that's your mindset. I mean, the reality is we do have foster homes and things like that, but you feel like that they are everything to you, and they are to a certain degree. So when they say things like this to you, it impresses it upon you, and you don't know that maybe they're just angry, they're tired, they're having a bad day, or that they were programmed with this from their parents, and that they really don't mean that. It's just something they picked up and it's a habit. They were told that, so they pass it on. So, but you can't change that. But you don't want to go through your life blaming your parents because you're having trouble today feeling good about yourself. So what are you going to do about that? You're going to blame your parents? Blame. Play the blame game? You'll never be successful in anything in life if you play the blame game. It's up to you now. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Well, I can give you a few tips. One thing, put a written goal down. Put a written goal. Write down a goal. You got to have a direction to head off into. And if it's a self-esteem goal, then what you want to do is not make a goal, I want more self-esteem, because that's not measurable. Make a goal to accomplish something that will build your self-esteem. If you want to have self-esteem, do esteemable acts. That can be going out and volunteering at the local nursing home, at the senior citizen center, opening a door for someone, giving to people who can't make it on their own. But you have to do these things without expecting return from the people you give to. Help out when you're at work. Get there a little early, stay a little later. These are all acts of integrity and a man with character. Okay, when you start doing these things, you feel better about yourself. Always do your best in whatever job you're doing. Always do your best. I'm not talking about being perfect. Do your best. I'm still a little out of breath. These are esteemable acts, and don't try to do them all at once. Just do it a little bit at a time. Put your shoes under your bed. Fix your bed. I know these don't seem like they could change anything, but they do. Clean your room. Take care of your car. Change the oil. Check the oil. All these things are things that successful people do. Do it until it becomes a habit. These are esteemable acts. Go out and walk a mile. Well, if you can't do that, maybe you're really out of shape, go out and walk a block. Like I told you, I can't run a mile again yet. I mean, that's like, I think this is the worst as far as running goes, out of shape aerobic. I've been since I was 20 years old, I think. I was trying to think about that the other day, and I can't remember when I couldn't run a mile. I mean, right now I could run a mile, but it would be a son of a bitch. I'm not gonna push myself that hard. Maybe by the end of the week, I should be up to a mile, all right? So it'll get better. But I remember when I first started running, I ran like one telephone pole and back, laid on the couch and about passed out. I felt so bad. So that was 42, maybe over 42 years ago. But see, those things build esteem because self-esteem, because it takes discipline, self-worth. Look around you in your life. Everything that you have today, as I've said before, is something you wanted yesterday. Your outer world reflects your inner world. If everything in your life is a mess, then you're a mess inside here. When you get in front of the mirror every day, tell yourself, I love you. Man, you're fucking great. I love you. Now, it's going to be a big lie when you first start it, but I guarantee you, if you consistently tell yourself that with emotion, I don't care if it's anger, because you don't feel like it's true. Use emotion when you say these things. Visualize yourself as the man you want to be. No, it's just not going to happen like magic, although to me it seems like magic. But what will happen when you do this on a consistent basis, you will have opportunities in your life to move toward what you want to be. Now there's always going to be fear between the thing you want to be and you. You have to step through that fear. And every time you do, guess what? Your self-esteem goes up, your self-worth goes up, you feel better about yourself. Fear, if there's a devil, it ought to be doubt and fear, because it destroys more dreams than anything else. And I've let it destroy some things in my life. But the majority of my life I've lived by believing that things were going to work out. And sometimes it didn't work out too well during the process. But looking back in retrospect, it was exactly what I needed. Some of my most dismal, miserable failures turned out to be the greatest things that ever happened to me, because I needed some humility. I mean, I'm still a little arrogant, but not as arrogant as I used to be. I realize now that I need the help of others and the help of my higher power, whatever you believe that to be. I always say that because I'm not a religious guy. I think everyone has the right to believe that there is a higher power or there's not. It's up to you. Whatever works for you. That's what works for me. Is when things don't work out good, I believe God's got a better plan. And I've said this before, I don't like to use the word God, but it's easier because people think of religion. And I don't believe in a religion, although I believe in the teachings of most of the religious books I've read, in the way I view it, the way I perceive it. I don't view it in a religious doctrinal sort of way. I view them as metaphysical, spiritual teachings to help us to achieve our desires in life. and to become better people. Because it's really not you're really not able to achieve anything in life without anything in life that is real wealth. Because the word wealth doesn't just mean money. It means well-being. That's where it came from, an Anglo-Saxon term, well-being. You can have all the money in the world, but if you're miserable, what the hell good does it do you? So wealth is more than just money. So many people, and I've thought this in my life too, think that, well, if I just had enough money. Money, you think, gives you a certain feeling. And it does feel good to have money. It does feel good to pay your bills. But you can't get your self-worth and your security from money. Because money can just, you can wake up tomorrow and the money could be worth nothing, like Venezuela. They weigh their money instead of counting it. Yeah, because it's worthless. They inflated the market with money, like somebody else we know here, and then it became worthless. Inflation was skyrocketed, and let's hope that doesn't happen here. But so do esteemable acts, do worthy acts to your fellow man, because whatever you do to somebody else comes back to you multiplied, either good or bad. Look in the mirror every day. Every time you're in front of the mirror, tell yourself how fucking good you look, how great you are, how beautiful you are. Remember to do that, and it will work. All right, that's all I have time for today. I hear my son pulling up. I got to get to work. Check out my books on Amazon, Coming Back Home, The True Adventure of Mark Daniels, and The Power Is Within. I'm on Instagram at Mark's Inspiration, YouTube, Facebook, YouTube, Mark Daniels, Mark's Inspiration. You're probably watching it here. And podcast every Saturday night, Central Standard Time, 6 p.m. And also The Dragon Ship, 6 p.m. every Sunday night, Central Standard Time. All right, take care. Have a great day. Do something worthy.